Welcome to another travel product review. Today we're going to review the Hop-on Hop-off Sightseeing Tour by Open Top Bus. And the thing about our reviews is they're always favorable. What I try doing is putting myself in the shoes of a visitor, seeing your listing on GetYourGuide, and provide feedback on what they might be thinking when they look at the pictures, the text, and the reviews. And then I also put a 10-minute timer. I don't try to go past that, all right? So let's start the timer now, and let's get started. So the first thing I do when I look at any listing is I look at the title, Hop-on Hop-off Sightseeing Tour by Open Top Bus. And the one thing is it seems a little wordy. I think Hop-on Hop-off Sightseeing Tour would work, or just Big Bus, Hop-on Hop-off Sightseeing Tour. Big Bus is a global company. They're in a lot of international cities, including Chicago here. So I just think that that title is a little wordy. Now, the next thing I try to do is look at the pictures and see how the pictures supports the title and just get an overall view of what it looks like. And I've been saying on a lot of my reviews that I like to see about 13 to 15 images. Sometimes some vendors put a little too little and then too many. So about 19 is pretty good. So the first thing I do is I see a big bus in the middle of the downtown area. I see some people on the open top bus part. I see some iconic buildings. More like this shot right now. We've already seen that shot, so it's already duplicating itself in my opinion. Now we get to see that you're close to the Ferris wheel. Another shot. More people on top of the bus. And already I've seen like 4 of these photos. This is why I would think don't try to put too many duplicates in there, because already I have the sensation that I just want to go off and look at something else about this listing. But we'll just click through it. It's a nice pretty day. More buildings, more architecture. So Chicago's Children's Museum, more shots. We've seen that shot already. Right? We saw right there, we saw that shot, and then we kind of see that shot again. So it kind of becomes repetitive. And then, you know, already the thing I don't see is inside the bus on the lower level. I know that some people are curious about that. If it's bad weather, you'd want to see pictures of inside the bus. And then I like this. It shows that people are hopping on board, different age groups. That's good. And that's all the pictures. So there's a couple things I'd like to see. We'll look at this, but the pictures I did itself a good job. The only thing I didn't see is inside the bottom portion of the bus. I would like to see that as well. All right, and then now we just kind of look at some other things that I'm thinking about. So we look at about this activity. I see valid for 1 or 2 days, host or greeter, English and Spanish, audio guide included, English and Spanish. And then I just glance at the picture. But before I go down any further, one thing I want to know or share with you guys is I always look at the activity provider. This is Big Bus Chicago, so at least I know when I'm looking at this activity, the provider is the same company. So sometimes you can have a guide that works with a company and you're working with the guide instead of the activity provider in a sense, meaning the operator. Then I just glance over at 709 reviews. Now, I've been looking at a lot of reviews and a lot of different listings on GetYourGuide. That seems a little low in my opinion. So we'll take a look at that when we get into the review section. And now we'll go back. Now, the next thing I want to share is when you look at any product on GetYourGuide, you want to go ahead and just do this portion right now. This is where you just choose how many adult passengers, you choose the day, because this section is where they'll put some packages in there. And the packages will be, you only see that if you just go through this process. So right now you have adult and 1 child. Now I'm looking to see if there's any price difference between the weekday and weekend. There isn't, so I'll just choose tomorrow, and now I'll check availability. Now this is where I'm talking about. You see, this is a product, this is one product, and this is the second product. And that is how you can see different products within one listing. And we'll just look at here, $55 for adults, $39 for children, operating hours, and then meet at this location. So the one thing I want to share is there's no mention so far of that you have to check in at one location before you start your sightseeing tour with Big Bus Chicago. That's key. And then it's $94. And then if you want a 2-day pass, let's look at the price difference. I'll take a child off, and now we'll look at $55 and $59. So in this circumstance, a 2-day pass is only $4 difference. So if you happen to be doing it, you can see how good $4.50 will make that experience that much better. Then we go to the itinerary section. This is where Get Your Guide has a nice itinerary of all the different places you'll go. And this is where I'd like to go back and see if the pictures match. Chicago River Walk, Willis Tower, Millennium Park, Art Institute of Chicago, Hilton Chicago, Grand Park Chicago, Adler Planetarium. So it has all these, Hard Rock Cafe. And there is some other places that it passes by. So if we look back at the pictures, we can see that it passes by this Ferris wheel. We can see that I'm looking for the iconic stops. Chicago Children's Museum. So if I saw the Children's Museum, I'd like to see it into this section right here. I don't see Children's Museum. So that's the only thing that I would kind of want to share is sometimes when you look at a listing, a lot of the companies just upload the listing and they don't make any changes, and this is why I'm providing feedback so you can kind of think what's in my head or what's in a visitor when they see your listing, what they might be thinking. Now I will go back to the listing and try to speed it up. So I always look at the highlights, see Chicago's top sites like Willis Tower, Navy Pier, the Chicago River Walk. I would say go back and make sure that the pictures match that. Hop on or off the buses at any of the conveniently located stops along the route. Hear the stories that made Chicago through engaging digital commentary. I'd like to see that digital commentary, at least a photo of somebody on it. Shop on Magnificent Mile and explore the State Theater District. Look out over stunning Lake Michigan from the many restaurants of Navy Pier. That's where you just go back and look at some of those text details. And I'm going to skip the full description because a lot of times that description is just a longer version of what we saw in the highlights. Now I'm going to look at what it includes. 24 or 48-hour hop-on, hop-off tour access, panoramic sunset tour with live guide. I'd like to see a picture of the guide back in the top. App with route information and real-time bus tracking. That's awesome. I'd like to see some sort of picture of that as well. Engaging digital commentary for all ages. Souvenir earbuds. I'd like to see what those earbuds look like as well. Do they have a wire coming in? A lot of these mobile phones no longer have earbuds, so that'd be something to kind of mention right there. And then they give you some directions on where stop 1 is and how to check in. And then what's not included: smoking, unaccompanied minors, children. Now we're going to go down to we got 2 minutes here. I'm going to go down and talk about the reviews. I like to focus on the negative reviews. And I want to mention that I do not represent Big Bus, nor do I represent Get Your Guide. I'm simply providing feedback on what I see when I come across negative reviews. So let's take a look at that now. So when it's a weather-related thing, when it's a weather-related thing and it comes with transportation, the 2 types of reviews I'm expecting is it was canceled because of weather, there wasn't enough seats because everybody was on the bottom level, bad weather, and it wasn't on time. So the bus was so dark inside. So let's get started. So the bus was so dark inside when trying to leave the bus, I couldn't see that there was a step. I fell and was hurt. No one from the company came to help me or see if I was okay. I had a gash on my knee and it was difficult to walk. I ended up not being able to attend the wedding. You know, you feel bad for people in this situation, but again, when people make mistakes on walking and you see a negative review, there's no responsibility on the person's fault. It's always the company's fault. And that happens. The tour guide was great, entertaining. Bus broke down in Michigan and we sat. After 20 minutes, it started again. After 7 stops, we were told we had to switch buses and there wasn't enough room in the buses, so we had to sit up top without any roof like the original bus. We froze and now sick, and 2 of our party were over 70 years old. Horrible. Unfortunately, buses break down. It could be busy. That's why some of these things are always, you're in a situation that is out of their hands in a way. Did the tour in the rainy weather. Unfortunately, the roof on the upper dump was leaky, that you still get wet. There was no guide, only the tape was playing here, which was quite boring. I would not recommend it. Now, there's a live guide, but they also have already mentioned that there's digital content and there's a way to listen to the guide on your phone or devices. So in this circumstances, they have many different options to choose from, and you could have switched. Very bad, waste of money. You don't even learn anything. Might as well save money and take a cab or a metro at each location. I probably disagree with that because the cab driver isn't going to know anything anyways, but this had different ways to listen to the narration. I'm going to review one more. However, the tour voice doesn't work. I don't know what that means. Rainy day, but you could not see out the window, so no sights to see. Audio was horrible, more music and less facts, not a pleasant experience and a waste of money. Now one more, you state every 30 minutes for pickup, but actually every hour. Not worth the money for a 24-hour if you can't see all the attractions due to pickup times. This is where if you're getting on and off, you're going to run out of time eventually. You can't go see everything that's mentioned. You get to see a sliver. That's why they offered a 2-day pass where you can get to see more things. And for $4.50, maybe a 2-day pass would give you everything. So that is something that a little common sense could kind of answer. But that is going to do it for this video. I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, then please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. And if you're looking to purchase a ticket to this tour, then I'll put a link in the description. Otherwise, if you're looking to go to Chicago and you go, we hope you have a windy day. Windy city.